Barring injuries or player movement, the Rockets' starting five for the 2022-2023 NBA season is likely going to feature Jabari Smith Jr., Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., and Eric Gordon. So the question on everybody's mind is, who should be the first player off the bench? I'm going to go through the players I think have a chance to be the sixth man off the bench for the Rockets, looking at the pros and the cons for each player. The first player is Jae'Sean Tate. Tate is likely going to get the nod from Coach Silas because he has the experience playing big minutes for the Rockets in the past 2 seasons. The pros. Tate is a versatile defender who provides the opportunity to guard smalls and bigs. He has good lateral movement and enough strength to make it hard for opposing players to score. According to Synergy, he ranks in the 85th percentile in defending spot-ups, 72nd percentile in defending post-ups, and 72nd percentile in defending handoffs. Another strength of Tate is his playmaking. He has guard-like creation skills with the ball in his hand and good court vision. Synergy has him in the 67th percentile for possessions that end in assists. He is especially impactful playmaking out of isolation post-ups, where he is rated as excellent in this area of his game, generating 1.16 points per possession. Here's a play I like. You want to see more of this from Tate? Basically just making the defense pay. Look how Gallinari is just really unconcerned about him. And if they're gonna play him like that, make them pay. If he does that, that'll draw Gallinari out of that paint. One thing I love about Tate, he's like the quarterback out there on defense. That's something that's so valuable. Look how he makes this call. He's making a call to tell them to get on the right man. Having that guy in the middle of your defense that can just quarterback everything is so important. And I think that's why the Rockets love him. And then this. On the other end, sneak backdoor for the alley-oop. Gets right back on defense, man. You gotta love that. Never satisfied. The cons. Tate is usually asked to guard the other team's 3s, 4s, and 5s, and despite his heart, his lack of size usually puts him at a disadvantage. He is in the below average range of guarding the pick and roll when he has to guard the big on the opposing team. And he's also below average when guarding isolation. He especially suffers in isolation situations where the ball handler drives down the middle, giving up a whopping 1.54 points per possession on such plays. This is likely due to his lack of length to contest at the rim and rarely any weak side shot blocking on the court. The most known limitation of Jae'Sean Tate is his shooting. Tate shot 31% from 3 this past season and 31.9% on unguarded 3s. For a team that will feature Alperen Sengun as the starting center, a player who isn't a great shooter, Tate's lack of shooting could be problematic, especially for the spacing. When he and Sengun are on the court together, the Rockets are shooting a feeble 24% on corner 3s. This is the shot most often conceded by defenses as a team that have poor shooting. Here's one of the issues with Tate and Sengun on the floor at the same time. You see here, Tate comes up to set the screen. Good screen there. He rolls, and just watch the spacing. Not only is Gallinari unconcerned about his role because he's not a lob threat, neither is Capella. And look at Herder and Capella just crowding the paint when they are guarding Sengun and Tate when they're adjacent to each other. Right now, there's really not much any of our guys could do. And, there's just one of the things with the spacing there. Luckily, Sengun turns into prime Dirk and makes a one-legged fadeaway jumper. So this is my beef with Tate a lot of the times. I love Tate, but this tunnel vision stuff, I really don't like it. You see 4 bodies there on Atlanta, and I don't know what would tell him that I can make this shot as the shortest guy on the court, basically. You have Kevin Porter Jr., you have Jalen Green in the corners, and this is just a simple, one of the most basic plays is the fast break, being able to pass ahead to the corners. Our young backcourt are doing what they're supposed to do, fill the corners. We got our bigs trailing. There's so many options here, but this is something that he has to learn to do. Draymond just made the speech about knowing your roles, and I'm going to add that to this video, just a little clip from that speech that he gave about role players being able to play their roles.
We can talk IQ all we want, but at the end of the day, motherfuckers gotta play a role in the NBA.
Yes.
It's two motherfuckers on a team that can do what the they want to do, and 13 other motherfuckers, they gotta play a role that can do what the they want to do. Everybody else got a role, so you're gonna either master your role or you're gonna get the fuck out, and it's just that simple.
There's only 2 MFs on the court who should be able to attempt plays like this, and he is definitely not one of them. Leads to a turnover. Hawks ball. The next player we'll examine is Kenyon Martin Jr. Kenyon is a freakishly athletic 3-and-D forward who provides an element of vertical spacing that the team lacked this past season. The pros. When Kenyon is on the court, he elevates the Rockets' transition offense from dead last to top by generating 1.25 points per possession. He is the second on the team, only to Eric Gordon in this metric. The lineup, including the 3 projected starters of KPJ, Jalen, and Şengün, with KJ on the court, have a 61% true shooting percentage and 107 pace, compared to the league-leading 100.9 pace shared by the Timberwolves and the Rockets. They play fast and they make shots. Kenyon also allows the Rockets to space the floor. He's a respectable 35.7% three-point shooter, and when he's on the court, the team shoots 35% on corner threes. Outside of the corners, he is tied for second best on the team, with Garrison Mathews shooting 38% from non-corner threes. And when teams sag off him, he is shooting 38% on unguarded. KJ is one of the team's best defenders. This isn't saying much because the Rockets were one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. But according to Synergy, he rated as a very good defender overall, and ranks good, very good, or excellent in almost every defensive category that Synergy collects. His biggest strengths are guarding players off screens and guarding the big when he is in a drop and pick and roll. I'm going to show you a KJ pick and roll with Jalen here. I love this play because when they run a pick and roll with KJ, the defense actually respects it. You can see Gallinari is in a drop coverage there. And when he's in his drop, he's going to back up to allow Herter to get back into guarding position. And one thing that KJ provides is that vertical threat. And teams have to respect that. That's why the guy guarding Kevin Porter Jr. has to come in there and tag him in the paint. And you remember from the other videos, a tag is when the roll man is going to the rim, the tagger assists the big or whoever it is playing the drop in slowing down that roll, allowing Herter to get back into the play. And you can see what that does for us offensively is that it creates a wide open shot for KPJ there in the corner, one of the best catch and shoot 3-pointers in the league. Jalen just has to hit this pass. One thing I hope he adds to his bag is his court vision, which was really lacking. But you expect that to keep getting better as he gets more comfortable in the game. Make the game a little easier on him instead of taking a shot that turns into a wedgie. Here's another good thing about KJ Martin, what he brings to the table. You see here they get a little dribble handoff here, and he pops out for the 3. Because of Jalen's driving ability, the defense has to commit to him, and these are the shots that he just has to make. If he wants to have a role in this NBA and in this league, he has to hit those wide open threes at an above 40% clip. If he does that, he can be in the league for the next decade. I'm going to use Garuba here as an example of what I was speaking about on earlier about KJ's roll threat and what it does to the defense. So you can see here Garuba is rolling. And on this roll, Okongwu is not concerned with him. And even though Herter is going to tag, they're not really concerned with Garuba's roll because Garuba is not a lob threat. So you can see, look at how bad the spacing is. When that big is not dropping, the tag man isn't collapsing. It just really kind of makes it hard. Look at that. So there's little things that you get when you have that lob threat. That's why there's spacing on the court isn't just 3-point shooting ability. The con. KJ, like Tate, is undersized for what he's being asked to do. He regularly has to guard 4s and 5s and is punished or fouls a lot in the post. Though he is a better shooter than Tate, defenses still sag off of him to crowd the paint, and he doesn't always make them pay. His lack of playmaking and offensive creation limits his ability to maximize his athleticism. And a lot of the times when he gets to the rim, if it isn't a dunk, he struggles to finish the possession. He is in the 19th percentile for layups because of his inability to finish at the rim, shooting a measly 51% on layups. Here's an area KJ has to improve on. You'll see here as the play kind of breaks down into an isolation, it gets into a scramble situation. He gets a kick out from Jalen. When he attacks this, he has to be able to control his dribble without picking it up so early. See, that's a lack of ball handling ability. That's why he had to pick up this dribble so early on this drive, because there's no reason why Gallinari should be able to stop KJ Martin from getting to the rim and putting him on a poster. But he picked up his dribble and is forced to throw it back out. So this is an area he has to improve on. The next player we're going to look at is Garrison Mathews. Garrison Matthews saw a lot of minutes at the 3 last year when Eric Gordon was out. This may have been due to necessity and spacing. Garrison is a deep shot taker with a quick trigger that defenses have to respect. He spaces the floor and allows the Rockets' young guards the space they need to operate. The pros: Garrison spaces the floor. He is in the 93rd percentile in spot-up threes and the 83rd percentile in handoff threes. Despite the questionable shot selection, Matthews generates points for the Rockets at an elite rate. He is a good 36% three-point shooter on 6 attempts per game, which passes the Morey analytics test for volume and efficiency. He also shoots 41% on unguarded threes, so defenses cannot afford to help too much off of him. Here's what you love about Garrison Matthews. He's smart, he knows how to move, and when he's getting shots like this, that's a difference maker right there. Impact guy. The cons: the aforementioned shot selection. Matthews takes some questionable shots that don't account for time and context during the games. He also has a tendency to attempt contested threes in an attempt to draw fouls. Though successful at times, it does hurt the flow of the offense in other cases. On threes considered tight, with the defender between 2 to 4 feet, he is shooting a measly 24.8%. And on those considered very tight, with the defender between 0 to 2 feet, he is shooting 21.4%. The takeaway from that is, he should shoot the shots when they're there. Another issue is his defense. Though he hustles, he lacks the lateral mobility and size to be an effective defender. According to Synergy, he is below average in isolation defense and as a pick and roll defender when guarding the ball, which are the 2 main ways teams attack the Rockets. Something I want Garrison to add to his game, well, he has it in his game, but something I just want him to do more is to learn how to screen and rescreen. When this shot isn't there, don't just chuck it up. Go ahead and, you get the initial screen here from Şengün. He kind of goes back door and gets a nice shot. Just movement. This is what made J.J. Redick a lot of money in the NBA. Movement like this, where you set a screen and the guy overplays you to one side and you just rescreen. I think he needs to learn to add that to his game instead of these wild shots that come at the worst times. That's an improvement I would like to see from him. Honorable mention for this list is Tari Eason. Tari Eason is an interesting prospect on both ends of the court. He put up MVP level stats at LSU on great efficiency off the bench for the Tigers. The pros on Tari right now is his play in transition and his defensive upside. It's hard to project how well this will translate to the NBA on day one, but Rockets fans should be excited about how he and Jabari performed as a duo in the Summer League. Tari held a plus 35 net rating for the Tigers, which sounds unreal to say out loud. He did all this while having a 31% usage rate. The potential issues may be his inability to impact the game without the ball in his hand. As with the other players, what can he do as a spot-up shooter will come into question. He shot a respectable 36% from 3 at LSU on high volume, so the shot is there. For him, in my opinion, his ability to get on the court will be based on how quickly he can pick up the playbook and his assignments on defense. It should be exciting to watch because, in my opinion, I believe he has the most upside, not only as the first player off the bench, but as a starter next to Şengün, Jabari, Jalen, and KPJ. You've heard what I had to say. I want to hear from you. Comment below on who you think the 6th man should be and why. And remember to click the like and subscribe button. Support the Chop Shop so we can keep making great NBA content.